Hi, everybody. My name's Don Smith. I'm with SSI Consulting, and I'm here today with Mike Farrell. And today we're going to continue our discussion about KPIs.
Hi,
So,
Don.
hi, Mike.
So, Don, last time we talked about when we were talking about KPIs, we really focused on the importance of KPIs and how to create them and what you want to focus on and how to collect the data. That's really kind of where we were focused on. But really, this time I wanted to talk more about how we use KPIs, sort of create some context for the people that are in their business and sort of why we use them and how we sort of use them sort of on a day-to-day basis and then sort of over time. Kind of the primary purpose of KPIs is to communicate the status of your operation, regardless of the business you're in, really, or the level you are within your organization. And it's really to provide that status to the people doing the work, but it helps to reassure, right, if things are good, but it
Yeah.
also helps to create action plans or actions if things are not so good, right? Kind of an example or an analogy that's sort of non-business related. So yeah, I think of a person driving in their car to go, you have to go on a 2 hour trip in your car. So in your car, you've got things like a gas gauge and speedometer and an odometer, and you got temperature gauges. But generally, for most folks, if they're going to go on a 2 hour trip and they're maybe 1 hour in, they can sort of look at how far they've traveled on their odometer and say, okay, I'm either ahead of my schedule or I'm on schedule or I'm behind schedule. And based on that, they can speed up or slow down or continue to travel at the same speed to reach their target in 2 hours. So that dashboard allows them to monitor the progress of their travel, right? That's sort of an example of a non-business environment scenario. But KPIs are really the health meter of how the business is performance against any set of goals. So as you try to improve your business, you're going to have some goals for improvement typically. In certain areas, maybe it's quality, maybe it's throughput, maybe it's on-time delivery. But as you do that kind of stuff, you really want to have the ability to measure against that goals. And so KPIs do that. They give that ability to measure against a set of goals. It also ensures alignment sort of between the business performance and to the strategic plan and also to serve your operational goals. One of the things that's really critical with KPIs is that even though you're measuring trends over the long term, it's critical that you measure to track them if you're in like a most production environments, you track them daily or even maybe hourly. The events depending on the frequency of the events, but you're going to manage the trends. You're going to track routinely and manage the trends. That's really what you're
Right.
trying to do. The KPIs are going to show you kind of how often you're succeeding or failing, but you don't want to be reacting to that every failure as it occurs, right? Because if you're overreacting, you really run the risk of creating a lot of tension and burnout amongst your people, right? If things are good, you're high, and things are not so good, you're low, then it's going to create that cycle, and it's often not a fun place to work, right? That's why we track it daily, but we manage it, so to speak, over the long term.
Okay. So, are there any other benefits to tracking KPIs?
Sure, for sure. So one of the main, again, in addition to understanding status, it allows you to create this accountability and responsibility for the performance and for the getting results amongst all the people that are working within your business and the people that are managing your business. One of the things that's elusive, we've heard about it, but it's very elusive to have it, is something called true employee engagement at all levels of the organization. And
Yeah.
my belief is that KPIs help to create that. Used to be an adage I remember that used to say, "What interests my boss fascinates me." I'll use an example, like on a frontline operator. If the issue is, you have to retain a certain quality level, well, you would monitor quality, and if you were looking at efficiency and productivity, you probably manage cost. And those are the things that are typically looked at. Those are the things that typically lead to customer satisfaction, and customer satisfaction usually leads to profitability. So that's kind of where it ties together. So we create, objective measurement, we focus on trends, and we keep people grounded. But we create the accountability through daily discussion, daily focus.
Okay. So, Mike, what does KPI management look like?
Well, you got to ask yourself what's critical for me and whatever role I play in the company, or my group, me and my peers play in the company. What makes us successful? What do we need to do day to day to be successful? And what are our risks? And whatever your risks are is what you want to monitor. So that could be your schedule, It could be quality, it could be error rates, it could be productivity. So what are those things that are critical to me to be able to say at the end of the day, I had a good day? That's what you want to measure, in some
Right.
form or another, right? Communicating what's important every day is so because that's how people maintain focus on what's
Yeah.
important. They'll and then know what's good. They understand now what good look like. It gets them. That's that engagement we refer to, right? Is knowing what's important and doing it every day. That's what true engagement's all about. We have daily communication, which allows us to report on ourselves objectively without blame and avoiding the overaction. If we have a daily conversation about performance and what's important, it just becomes part of the routine, right? Typically, the frontline folks aren't going to look at reports every day. They're not. Not say they won't, but it's not often. But the managers and the of an organization will typically look at the performance daily, weekly, monthly, and we use the KPIs to focus on that trend, so performance over time, so that we don't overreact. It doesn't mean that we don't react when something is critical. We're not going to avoid critical failure, right? Because we're worried about a long-term trend. We deal with those events as they come if they're critical, but we don't. Then we get back on track and say, okay, what are we doing? How do we improve the business, right? We sort of use the trends to see how we're performing against the goals, and it allows the KPIs to start influencing your management decisions, right? As opposed to always thinking about what's the most recent thing that occurred and
Yeah.
managing of that. It allows us to manage sort of the long term and think about more in the
Mm.
long term. So um, lets us set improvement targets and track against those targets. The model is very, very simple and it's repetitive. You monitor what's important. You do status reviews. So how are we doing against what we're monitoring, and what are the continuous improvement action plans that are you know helping us to make that improvement.
Yeah.
We daily communication of the performance and the action plan review, make sure that we're actually doing what we say we're going to do. That helps to create that engagement, accountability, responsibility, right?
Right.
Again, the daily, weekly, monthly trend reviews is really when you start to evaluate the effectiveness of your action plans. Do we need to adjust our action plans, or are we sort of moving and continue to move in the right direction? We call that, that's the Deming cycle for improvement. We use action plan register as one tool that we commonly use to make sure to confirm that stuff's getting done. We use the KPIs to measure that the impact of the stuff that's getting done, so to speak, right? That's really where the rubber meets the road on day to day in any organization that's using KPIs to drive performance.
So, Mike, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, just sort of a recapture. There's really four areas, critical areas where KPIs typically are focused. Number one has to be the customer. You need to satisfy your customers because they're the ones that are purchasing your products and services. So having some measurement of quality and measurement of service performance in some way, shape, or form is, I think, critical. And the second focus, my belief, is your employees. If you don't have satisfied employees that are focused on your success then you really won't have a business, right? After that, obviously quality is very critical. So some measurement around quality, and finally there's any number of financial performance KPIs that you can use, and depending on the level the person is in the organization, they may be focused on macro level or micro level, depending on what the role they play within the company, right?
Right.
Final thought is keep your KPIs simple. Think less is more. One or two, maybe three KPIs, sort of per group or per area. Focus on what's critically important to those people and what they can influence.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Mike. So, for all our viewers out there, Mike mentioned the action plan register. It's available for download free of charge from our website. So, Mike, thank you very much for your time. And for everybody else, I hope you have a great day.
Thanks.